Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Kai Havertz to Arsenal is basically a deal done. We've had the here we go from Fabrizio. David Ornstein spoken about it as well. And this is one I want to get your comments on because I've got to be clear and honest because I can't lie. I gave Havertz so much shit last season. It looked like the bottom of a rabbit hutch. It was full of little shits. And I think that realistically, also historically, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I've always seen what Arteta's trying to do and been impressed by what he's tried to do at Arsenal. I've got to say this one confuses me. That doesn't mean it's a bad deal. And the Saudi Arabian merry-go-round continues as well, with Thomas Partey potentially going there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's stick with Havertz. Chelsea fans, what do you think? Arsenal fans, what do you think? Rival fans, what do you think? Because you're going to get three different opinions that could all be the same. £60 million plus 5 in add-ons. He's only 23 or 24. I think he just had his birthday in June as well. So look, I remember Havertz before he went to Chelsea. He was playing in the Bundesliga. He was linked to United, linked to Real Madrid, linked to Bayern Munich. He went to Chelsea. So, look, he's a good player. He's also played in a Chelsea side where nobody really came out of last season with any great credibility. Mason Mount, people are saying, why United buying him? Kovacic has gone to Man City. Look, a lot of players had bad seasons at Chelsea. Havertz was dreadful. Like, he was dreadful, in my opinion. Like, it got to the point where I was like, can you play Mendy up front? And that might sound like a joke, but he was terrible last season. Now, the fact that Arteta wants him suggests to me that he sees the Havertz that wasn't terrible. He sees the Havertz that is talented. And he's willing to spend £60 million on him, which is not by any means cheap for a player that is considered to be surplus to requirements at Chelsea and has had a bad season. So what do I think Arteta sees in Havertz? I think he sees a player in Havertz that can do a number of things. Arsenal desperately need somebody who can score goals other than Jesus down the middle. And Havertz, if he's got the right mentality and the right form, can do that. But he probably won't start ahead of Jesus anyway. So you've got somebody who's got the calibre and ability to do what needs to be done in relation to replace Jesus. He can also play in the Odegaard role. And for £60 million in the current climate, when people want 100 and something for Osman, 100 for Ramos, 100 for this, 100 for that, £60 million for a Premier League proven international player who's still in their just about early 20s, it's a lot because of what he did last season, but it's not a lot in relation to what Arteta thinks he could be, which is a player that is knocking on the first team door, maybe in the first team. There's development there, there's rebuilding there, there's confidence that needs to be worked on there. But if it works, £60 million for that quality of player actually isn't that much. I can completely see the doubters. I'm one myself on this, but as somebody that has admired what Havertz, what Arteta has done at Arsenal from the start and could see what he was trying to do, if it works, it could be genuinely genius from Arteta. He's backing himself to get the best out of Havertz. Last season was a terrible version of Havertz. He's backing himself to get him to be the player that many people thought he was a couple of years ago, or before he even came to Chelsea. Arteta thinks it's there. There's examples of Dele Alli where it's there and it completely disappears and it never comes back. But is Havertz the next Dele Alli? I don't think so. I think there's a player there that was in a Chelsea side that was toxic. You put him in an Arsenal side that... You put Havertz into an Arsenal side that's together, ambitious, hungry, and he becomes part of that, you get a better Havertz. You're going to see a better Kovacic at Man City. You'll see a better Mount if he comes to Manchester United. So I think that's what Arteta is gambling on here. And let's not forget, Real Madrid were looking at Havertz. So it's not like Arsenal are buying a player that Brentford wanted. They're buying a player that a lot of people have looked at and gone, yeah, he's dreadful season for Chelsea, but there's something there. So look, interesting. I think this is a really... Not everything can be polished and exciting in a summer transfer window. Sometimes you get these deals and you go, it's a bit like Eriksen to Man United on a free last year. Everyone knows Eriksen a good player, but he's just been at Brentford. Can he do it at a traditional top 6 club again? And the answer was, for the first 6-7 months, he did until he got injured. So I think that this Havertz one is going to be one to really keep an eye on. It could fail spectacularly. It could be a rip-roaring success, or it might just be a bit of a mid signing that does okay. But remember, Arsenal did buy Trossard in January. He's still a work in progress. You've got Martinelli, Trossard, Saka, Odegaard, Jesus, and now you've got Havertz. That's 6 options in your front 3 positions. Also, Havertz can play in the number 10 role as well. So I think it's a clever signing from Arsenal, where the one thing they didn't have last season was depth. And they won't have hundreds of millions of pounds to spend. So Arteta clearly wants somebody who can play up front and share the load with Jesus. Because to be honest with you, I watched Arsenal play Man City in February at the Emirates, where Arsenal could and probably should have been solidifying that title. Obviously, I think they drew the weekend before against Brentford, that dodgy linesman or something. And then against Man City, they lost, but Nketiah missed a hat-trick of chances that you've got to score. So you've got to have that differential player, and I think in Havertz, that's what he's looking to have. And, how many players are you going to get for £60 million that can replace Jesus and fight for the place? You've got to take a risk on somebody, and there's an element of risk there, and Arteta's backing his coaching ability to make that £60 million look like a bargain. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Sticking with Arsenal, sticking with the Saudi Arabian theme, a lot of people talking about the video I did this morning about Chelsea. Check it out. Thomas Partey could be heading to Saudi Arabia as well. I want a piece of this pie. I know people are moaning about it, but I want a piece of this pie, because this is becoming the summer transfer window where you can sell players for really good fees, and that's always a problem. That's always a problem. I look at United's position, and same for Arsenal and other clubs. You want to buy players, and you know you've got to get rid of players, and it's problematic getting decent fees for the players that you want to get rid of. Well, this summer is like Christmas, because you can sell the players that you don't want, and you can get really good transfer fees for them as well. So Thomas Partey could be going to Saudi Arabia for 40 million quid. That's lovely. That's a lovely bit of money for Arsenal. So keep your eye on that one, because obviously it helps them and makes it easier to do deals the other way. Let's wait and see. Anyway, give us your comments below. That's why I did this video. What are your thoughts on Havertz to Arsenal? Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. I'll speak to you on the next one.